big Peoria hoops rivalry turned into a 5-overtime marathon. Yes, Richwoods and Peoria High played not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 overtimes. Tavy Smith a 3. Richwoods was up by 16. Peoria High, though, would rally DeQuan Brown a 3 right here. Then Mikey Taylor on the beautiful drive and a bucket. The game went back and forth in overtime. Nobody took more than a 4-point lead in overtime. Jared Jackson right here crosses up the defender, gets to the hoop. Richwoods in 5 overtimes, 82-80. Peoria Notre Dame gets a big win. Didn't need overtime, but they beat Peoria Emmanuel. Cooper Koch to Owen Dillon. Dillon had 11 points, the corner 3 at the kitchen. Dietrich Richardson's going to attack on the baseline blast for Emmanuel, but I'll tell you, Peoria Notre Dame playing some good ball. Teddy Dimmler for 3 right here. Then Cooper Koch to tip in. He had 17 points, and the Irish get a big city win, 50-41. Over Manual. Neil Alexander, the legendary coach of Lincoln, has his Railers at a Big 12 leader, Normal West. Kylan Smith in the drive in the bucket for West. Later, Gavin Camp, the bucket. West had the lead in the fourth quarter, but Lincoln seems to always win. Aiden Gowan the 3. Lincoln wins it by 1, 44-43. Now to the Middle Illini and Metamora with a statement win tonight at the Potterdome. Danny Greaves, Metamora Redbirds carve up the Potters tonight. Ethan Kaiser inside to Luke Hopp for the fake and the take. Then Nick Walker is going to leave it for Tyson Swanson. They were just getting whatever they wanted. Tate Rowley had 13 for the Potters. He drives and scores right here, but boy, Metamora in control. Tyler Mason off the steal, soars and scores. And then it's Ethan Kaiser with a 3. He had 24 in the highlight of the night. Ethan Kaiser cleared for takeoff with the monster. Oh, yeah, the Potterdome is rocking with Metamora fans tonight. Washington hosting a Pekin this evening, their 3rd meeting of the year. C.J. Duncan on the strong drive and bucket for the Panthers. Gabe Patterson beats the buzzer here with a long 3. But Pekin's going to get the win. Matthew Juergens the swipe, and he's cleared for liftoff. Pekin gets a nice win tonight at Washington. Hey, turn the lights on, would you? We're not done yet. Thank you. East Peoria hosting Canton tonight. Cale Barnhart, nice backdoor delivery to Dylan Watts for the bucket. But East Peoria's Justin Page can deliver the basketball as well. The assist to A.J. Reinders for 3. Then Page to Jack DuBois for the bucket. East Peoria is a winner tonight over Canton. Nice win for the Raiders. Dunlap all over Limestone this evening. Gabe Munoz makes his team go. He gets the ball inside to Ryan DiGennaro for 2. Then Munoz to Griffin Card for the bucket. Boy, that game is fast. He's fun to watch. Dunlap wins by 41. HOI trophy belongs to Fieldcrest. That traveling trophy on display tonight as they take on Tremont. That's Nathan Cook to Landon Modro. For Tremont, J.T. Kaiser to Luke McLean, but Nathan Cook is going to score right here, and Fieldcrest gets the win. They keep that traveling trophy. Hayworth at El Paso Gridley this evening. We'll start our highlights with Hayworth. Tyler Bartles to Nick Feather for the soft touch by Feather. Micah Meestyles long distance for El Paso Gridley, but Alex Moss, the step back 3, and Hayworth's going home with a win, 41-40. At Eureka, the Hornets roll over DMAC. Some great Hornets passing right here. Tyler Heffron, the nice little lob inside to Tyler Tate. Tyler Tate had 14. Then Justice Bachman on the fast break gives it back to Heffron. Heffron had 19, and Eureka's a big winner over DMAC. Illini Bluffs hosting Brimfield tonight. Devin White is going to rip down the loose ball rebound and then put in the bucket right here. Then Wyatt Hendel, the Hank Alvey. Big Hank, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 5 blocks. Illini Bluffs wins. Prairie Central, Bloomington Central Catholic, Peoria Christian, Roanoke Benson, all boys winners. Girls hoops, Dunlap hosting Richwoods and Team Tessa. Yeah, play for Tessa. Kind of a neat sign tonight on this night. We're doing the St. Jude house, huh? That's Bubba Soberger to Sophia Remmel. Remmel had 19. Then Remmel to Bubba. Bubba had 23 for Dunlap. Dunlap led by 15 after 3 quarters. Lexi Bear had 23. The game went to overtime, but Richwoods loses this game in overtime. So the boys win in 5 overtimes. The girls lose in overtime.